so I don't want to throw them under the bus.
Okay, we're live now.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Hey guys. Amber will be here in a few minutes. We have Ginger Ninja here. We got Larry, Mr.Cher. Oh, and Mama Kim Unjustified will be here in a little bit too.
Oh, right on.
Okay, who's got the echo?
Is it me?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know why it would be echoing. I'm on my phone.
StreamYard does that. Sometimes it doesn't like people's phones.
Is it echoing or doing feedback?
Hey,
Hey, Amber.
Better. Hey, Amber.
guys.
Can always try and go out and come back in, but it sounds fine now, Ginger. But are you muted? No.
Yeah, it seems good.
Okay, good.
Is it me?
Hey, Amber.
Hey, Ginger.
Hey, guys.
Hey. So what's happening?
Oh, so much. Okay, first let's get into right away because Ginger may have to leave here. Whoops. Let's
Okay.
should we talk about the abuse surrounding Watts Island quick?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for those that don't know, basically a creator that is kind of known for, dragging people and whatnot, and she drags a lot of adults and she's been abusive towards adults, let's just be honest. And but last week she took it too far. There was I start shaking when I talk about it. There was a comment on my channel made back in November. I mean, it was like, and I mindlessly gave it a heart. Like, it read Gump's Granny. And you can ask Ginger and any of them. I literally, when she posted the screenshot and was having a fit about it, I said, what is she so mad over? I'm like not getting, I don't know, I can be slow sometimes. To be honest. But her grandson's name is Forrest. So I guess the person was implying, and this was an unknown account. I do not know who's behind it. They were implying, like, Forrest Gump. Well, she didn't like that. If you ask me, like, I think she's kind of been wanting me to respond, I think. And I think she knew that my child was my that's what's going to get me, but it just went way beyond what is okay. I mean, my child's 8, so she shouldn't have even been brought up. But if you've heard the audio, you've heard it. Everywhere from calling her a whore to saying that she's got pictures of her and she's gonna post them all over the internet. I mean, like, what the hell, I'm sure everybody's heard. It was bad. It's definitely. I mean, look, I've had a lot, in the past 2 years. I mean, I've been doxxed. I've had my records put out. But this, like, I can handle a lot. But this, it was way too far. And, I made a few videos about it. And, one of the things that I mentioned was, because a lot of people that are in her chats, they are, they are part of the big, armchair detective movement, wanting to get him off, and I just don't, it baffles me that no one in that chat said anything. Nobody said, this is going too far. I think one person did. And they accuse that person of being like me or something, but not one person, and people that, I don't normally get along with, but I thought would at least say, stop,
Yeah, I
And it
mean,
went
I
on for
agree.
hours, it went on for freaking hours.
And a lot of them are parents. A lot of them are mothers and grandmothers, and that's disturbing.
Yeah.
It is disturbing. You're absolutely right. It's disturbing because there's no amount of hatred or dislike that makes someone lose their ability to acknowledge that that was child abuse and
Right.
that there were people in that chat supporting it. I mean, to me, it just completely blew my mind.
Me too. Like, even if she was okay, like you're upset about the comment, like I said, hey, I've had her drag me and call me a whore for 8 hours straight. Like,
Right.
but this was just, it was insanity. And I mean, it really, when I say that, I use the word emotional hostage because that's what it holds you. It holds you. I mean, all that, my whole day that day was just, and then this whole past week, really, it was just freaking, it was taken from me, all my energy. I mean, it just, it's been awful,
People don't realize that Amber, I mean, she was a victim. Her daughter was victimized. My own children, my moderator's children's, we've all, been dragged, been involved. This live, though, went on for hours. And the things that were said about her 8-year-old little girl and what she should do, bodily functions, and about her child's father, and everybody just sat there.
Oh,
No
like,
one stood up and stopped it. Actually, Daphne did. Daphne went in and tried to stop it. And of course, she was immediately shut down.
I didn't know she did. Thank you, Daphne. And, it was just, I mean, things like, does her dad touch her? Does she like it? Is she a whore like you? I mean, it was just,
that was messed up. Yeah.
it's like the things, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to be honest. The words that were put together involving a child, not many people would think to even put those words together. You know what I mean? Like, it just, and nothing justified it, no matter what you say. I mean, she's trying to say that we mocked her grandson in my live, and that is a bold-faced lie.
No, the live is still up. It's still posted. We didn't mock the grandchild. I've never supported that.
Never.
Amber will tell you, I've never, ever supported people going for other people's children, sharing their pictures, using their kids, adult or minor children, as their profile pictures. None of that. Ever.
Yeah. And like it, it's been really interesting. I will tell you, I have been pleased to see that, some people that, I've gotten in like knockdown fights with for 2 years actually were decent enough to say this is wrong, but then there's some people that are definitely pretending like they weren't there, pretending like it didn't happen, still supporting, and I'm gonna be honest, like I saw a lot of chatter on Kelly's channel, and I just figured, you know what, like, she's a victim's advocate. I'm just gonna reach out.
She's what? We don't call her that around here.
That's what she claims. That is what she claims.
I really thought that we could talk about this, and regardless of any kind of spats or whatever, this is like an issue, and so I just reached out and I just said, look, I see a lot of chatter. I'll just be honest with you. This is what happened. The reason why people are upset at certain people is because they're kind of just, saying, well, we need her for armchair. Like, oh, it didn't happen, and trying to literally hide it.
Let's not forget that this is the voice of Shanann Ruzick. Remember, these people are allowed to call themselves Shanann. These are the people Shanann would be proud of, according to them.
And I have to say, I was really bummed out because, when she wrote me back, she basically said, well, don't bring any, or actually she said, first I should apologize to Bam for the comment. I'm like, are you kidding me? I didn't even make it. I gave it a heart
made
like.
a community post about that because it wasn't attacking Kelly, but it was calling her out. Listen to what Amber's going to say here. And I don't mean to interrupt, that there's a mandated child abuse reporter in your chat. And she's absolutely right that by someone being in there and not reporting that, that makes them guilty as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, you know, but to say, you know, first and foremost, apologize, that is like saying, you know, apologize to the person that just abused your child for my heart. Like, and no, like, I didn't even make the comment. Like, no, there is nothing. I don't want to talk to the person, first of all, you know, and then it was like, you know, and don't make any more noise about it, you know. I was like, are you serious? So basically just kind of pretend it didn't happen. And it was just, I don't know, it was very like, I kind of was a little surprised, you know, and then I noticed she deleted all of the comments off her channel that were actually speaking about the issue.
Of course. Well, we're not going to let it hide or be brushed under the carpet around here.
Right.
You talked about my children and my friend's 8-year-old daughter.
Yes, that's it. She
Delete
said
whatever you want to.
Too. You know, she said open season on yours as well.
And what was she saying about me and my husband?
Oh, that, you know, basically like, you know, I didn't know that they'd never seen each other and we're just making fun of that. And, you know, saying like, you know, that he better reel you in and because you're going to go for her. And God, there was other stuff. I'm trying to remember. It was so much, you know,
Yeah, she's
like
crazy.
Yeah, man. Like I'm sorry, but when you have to take all your aggression out on people like that all the time and use them as your personal punching bags for whatever reasons, like, to me, that's not tough. To me, that's a big lack of self-control. Like, you know,
To say the least.
Yeah, but you know, it's not okay. None of it was okay.
She told Amber that she should apologize for comments made about her grandson and to not banter on about it. Now, what victim's advocate advises someone? Does she tell her victims? Does she tell them to apologize to their abuser? Is that what she's telling them? I was floored at that. I'm sickened to my core about this. Amber is traumatized. She has lost sleep. She has lost her appetite. I mean, this goes beyond just being on YouTube and tit for tat and YouTube wars and arguments and drama.
Yeah, it really does. You know,
you know, when it's your child, and you understand this, voices, that when it's your own child, it does hit home and it affects you differently. You know, her calling my autistic son a retard. Yeah, that is a little different than what Amber went through, but it affected me because it was my child. But what she did with Amber's daughter, who I've met, by the way, it was just completely inexcusable. And for her to put that video out, sticks and stones, no, bam, not sticks and stones. It's called child abuse. And for her to evade all accountability for what she and Solange did, that was inexcusable. They should have been apologizing to Amber and to this community.
And the fact that she keeps saying this whole like, well, for 2 years, you know, you haven't left us alone. First of all, just me personally, like, I've had very little to do with her, and she knows that. I wasn't even part of her channel when y'all had that big fallout. You know what I mean? Like, nothing she's speaking about. I was not, like, I've done really nothing to the woman. To be this hostile. I mean, it's just crazy. But, you know, that kind of annoys me, is this whole, you know, well, for 2 years you haven't left me alone. You haven't, you know, it's like, okay, bam. First of all, like, a lot of that's not true anyway, but you know, I wasn't a part of any of it at all. So no, that doesn't justify it at all. Like, nothing justifies it. You know, it doesn't. And, you know, I am really pleased to see that so many people were not okay with it, you know. But yeah, I can't possibly see, you know, being a truth channel but supporting her.
The truth channel. They call themselves the goddamn truthers, and it makes me sick even hearing that. You know, yeah. What a joke.
Yeah.
And by the way, All Seeing Eye is Norman Cleverly. He made that video and has given it to share around to bring awareness to it. So thank you, Norman.
Thank you.
It was a great video. And there's no hiding from her own damn words out of her own damn mouth. That's disgusting.
Right. Like there's, yeah. It's not at all.
And
not
I'm
at
sure
all.
she's watching, so everyone say hello. Hi, Bam.
Hi. I mean, it's shit. She and the thing is like, this whole all this, you haven't left me alone. No, you've brought me up. You've dragged me through the mud. I iced her out for the longest time. I just decided.
Okay, well, yeah, you didn't say anything because how long I was friendly with her.
Yeah.
I gave her a chance, and let me tell you, I didn't see you around all of those months at all around her shit.
No. Did you see me making any video?
Nope.
Mentioning no. The only time I did was when I went live because I had it. There's only so much you can take of a person going live and whore this, whore that. You know what I'm saying? So, me and Ginger decided, well, let's go live and let's just address it. Now, you can watch the live. It's on my channel. Did we ever raise our voice? Did we ever, shout and name call? No, none of that. We just addressed it, period. But that's whenever she decided to go live at the exact same time. And she literally said, I'm going to go into all your real lives now and call CPS. And, that was creepy and awful as well.
Because we did a live together. Because I drove up there and met Amber, and we did Amber's first live together. Now, mind you, the majority of this is because Amber and I are friends.
Right.
Amber and I are friends. That's where this is coming from.
She didn't convince me you were awful. Like that's.
Yeah, she was unable to convince her, and and then they try to say that I'm the one that did Amber's background check. Well, that was later that was proven that it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Amber took my word for it from the get-go, but later on the proof was produced that the person who actually did it. So
she admitted it. She flat out admitted it. She said, "Yeah, I did it." So,
wow.
Yeah. But,
well, I'm grateful for the community because there's been people coming out of the woodworks and they've been emailing me and commenting on the channel in support of this. And it's not just Bam and Solange. It is child abuse on social media in general.
Yeah. Yeah. But it has been a lot of people coming out of the woodwork that, like I said, we don't normally have the same views on certain topics, but you know what? At least they have the balls to say this isn't right, And you know what? I am going to call out this person because I'm sorry, but Fit of Crime was in there. She definitely, I am. She mentioned me on her post today. So, hey, she was definitely egging it on. Definitely, in there saying that I was so unbelievable.
She's an angry British woman. You know why?
She is.
She started, let me tell you about her, because I think it's actually fucking funny. This chick started YouTube trying to teach everybody how to do yoga, okay? When those videos weren't flying or getting any views, she made a second channel. Now, I'm unsure if she made this channel or if it was given to her by cellar dweller there, Martin. But her second channel then was a AD bashing channel and whatever. Okay, so then she slowly tried to still wedge in her fucking yoga into the AD bashing, but again, those videos weren't getting any views. So I just went looking for her yogi videos like a week or so ago, and now that channel has been completely deleted because of course the Alan bashing channel did a lot better. So little Miss Yogi there, and everything she's doing is completely against the damn yoga she was trying to teach. I thought you were supposed to be like meditation and calm and nice and all this.
Right. Like that's what blows my mind. It's like, and then she gets all mad because I just called her out as somebody that was in the stream and didn't say anything, couldn't the fact that we don't get along, like, is irrelevant to me. Like, that's irrelevant in this scenario. Like, it's just about, okay, she's going at a kid, like, that should be enough to say, look, even if she said, look, I don't like the bitch, but shut up about her kid. Like, that would have been plenty. Nothing, but, she's one that's going around trying to, everybody that is talking about it, she's calling a zombie, they're zombies. They're zombies. It's like, what the fuck with this zombie thing? But, it's like, no, they're not zombies. They're just telling what happened. But, she just doesn't even want to admit that, yes, she still supports that person. And yes, she was in there. And yeah, she egged it on, so, she's nothing to do with me. But,
the teacher. Yeah, who wants to take yoga from her?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just goes against every kind of, I'm here to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not the right thing.
No, not only that, but for someone who talks about lifting others, I've seen her do nothing but tear others down. And then those who did come forward to speak out, and some it was difficult for them to discuss, she referred to them as zombies. Like, what the hell gives her the right?
Right.
What gives her the right? Because she all of a sudden is what she doesn't realize is Bam is a trophy collector. Okay, Bam collects trophies. That's what she does. It's who can get her what the quickest and more content.
Right.
And if you can't do it, then she's not interested, period.
Right.
But right now, the attention is on Feed a Crime. Well, right now, but that won't last long. It never does.
No, no.
I know her better than anyone here, period. And I'm telling you, she is a trophy collector. So Fit a Crime, enjoy the ride while you can, because it's not going to last.
Yeah. And, and Solange, that video she put up that day, that was just nasty. I'm sorry. Like,
oh my God, that passive aggressive video.
Nobody's stupid. Like, nobody. Like, you mean to tell me you just coincidentally put up an Amber Alert, like, murder victim video the next day after I'm talking about it? I don't think so.
Yeah, I took that as a low-key threat. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. When you go and post about, exactly that, whoo.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. That was a threat. I cannot believe. Little Solange, she's like the bird lady Kelly hangs out with. That's what Solange is to Bam.
Yeah. Well, she was definitely in the stream and definitely was saying it was all a good idea. And
ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I've seen even some of her, like, loyal friends say, hey, that was fucked up. It wasn't right.
So Larry here's pretty new to the whole Watts Island fiasco. What are you thinking about all this?
I'm sitting
I would go away while you can.
I know. I don't
Turn
know.
around
First
while
off,
you can.
it is a serious issue. So, I mean, what you guys are talking about. So, I'm sorry any of you have to deal with it. It's terrible. But I feel bad because I don't know anything about what we're talking about. I don't know who any of these people are. I do get it a little bit. Obviously, I came under attack recently. So, but nothing like this. Nothing. I couldn't imagine what you're dealing with. It's terrible. It really is. It's very toxic. My best advice.
The people backing these channels, that is the Ruzek. These are channels that the Ruzeks are actually using to be their voice and help support them and stuff on social media.
Yeah, see,
so it's all very connected.
I don't know any of the groups or who's aligned. People have yelled at me for going on one channel, then the next day on another, and it's like, guys, I don't know who's who. I'm willing to, I came into this thing during COVID and watching a documentary and had some, some little bit of tiny bit of information that just pushed me in a theory, and I came through, and I just put my thoughts out there. People asked me to come up and give them, and it kind of snowballed from there, and suddenly I became like the next guy to attack. But again, I have thick skin. I've lived a public life. I was in politics, so I've been attacked. I got a father who was a terrible person, and people used to try to use that against me, and I've dealt with it. So I have thick skin, but the whole what you guys are talking about, family stuff. And my best advice, just coming from someone that's lived with this for, you know, in my real life too, is you got to ignore it. You outclass them. You don't talk to them. You know, I wouldn't even discuss it more than you just already have, because that just feeds into them, and then they have something to come back on, and then you go back to them, and then they go back. They don't care about the truth. They're never going to listen to reason.
I would agree with that to a certain point, but the fact this was child abuse, that right there, it's not about tit for tat. It's about raising awareness.
Yeah,
and
this
how
ain't.
No, it's a good point.
We're
You're
not
right.
going to tolerate it.
Oh, believe me, normally I'm all about, you know, ice them out, don't feed the troll, you know, that's the best motto, you know. Somebody told us that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it is true, but you know, I mean, I don't know if there's a mother in sight that would have been quiet about it. You know? There's just no fucking way, and I'm not.
Hey, I bit my tongue for like 48 hours and it was hard. But if I would have recorded anything right after hearing that, I'd be in a jail cell still.
I think the best thing too is, I mean,
me.
if someone's making real threats, then at the very least, they're guilty of harassment. I mean, you know, take it right off of YouTube and just simply call up, and everyone has a right to file a charge.
Oh, it was filed already. It was definitely filed. Trust me.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Again,
No,
I don't want to say too much because I don't know the history. So if I say something or ask a question that sounds, you know, like I'm off, I apologize.
No, not at all. Not at all. And
but it's go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, no, not at all. I mean, especially if you're new to the community, I'm just saying, just give it a bit and you'll understand how some of this goes. And at some point, we just have to say, that's it. That's the end of it. You know, enough is enough.
Well, and also I'm going to say this, like this particular person, it don't matter if you ignore them. They still keep going. So sooner or later you just get fed up and you have to say something, you know. But you know, like I said, I hear what you're saying, and normally it is absolutely, you know, when it's a tit for tat and drama and all that, ignoring is best. And I certainly don't want to beat a dead horse. I just don't want this to happen again to somebody else, or it's just not okay. And I don't, you know, I didn't want the person to get away with it. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't. I don't. You know, I know she took the live down the very next day, and you know, if we hadn't put it out, not everybody would have known about it. Because I mean, people heard about it, but they didn't actually hear it. When they heard it, they were like, "Holy shit!"
Right?
Yeah, it's shocking.
Yeah,
babe, what do you think?
I think she's just a nut job drug addict and just forget about it.
I agree. That's
the only times I've ever gone to her channel, she's been ranting and raving about someone. So I couldn't care less what she said.
Yeah. Well, but if it was about your kid, your small kid,
yeah,
it's different, you know. Like I said, you know, she can rant and rave about me all day. If she
before I even knew she went after my kids, I only knew she went after yours, and my blood was boiling from just what I heard about Lily.
Yeah.
And then when I got the clip of my kids, oh man.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. When, you know, it's bad enough when it's your friend, but when it's you, it takes it to a different level. I didn't even know she went after yours until I saw your video.
Yeah, you know, I didn't at first either until I listened back and I went, whoa, she just said open season on Cher's kids. Really?
Open season.
Wow.
You know what? If there wasn't a pandemic, I'd fly to your fucking house.
Yeah. Oh, believe me. I mean, my first reaction, let's just say I did a lot of kickboxing this past week. I work out a lot, and that was my workout this week, a lot. Yeah.
Who's Grumpy's granny?
Well, that's what they were. Oh gosh,
Grump's granny.
That's somebody trying to cause problems. They'll later on say, "Look, they allowed somebody to be saying Gump." So.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm getting sick and freaking tired when she knows we've been cloned, that it's not us. she knows there's people causing trouble on her channel. It's not us. I could give two flying flips about her.
Here's the thing, they all know, and they all know who people are. There's no way she didn't know who Captain Obvious was. There's no way she didn't know who, they know who people are. I mean, they straight up knew Winston's revenge was not Norman, but they will go around and still bash Norman and claim Norman did this and that, even though they all know it wasn't Norman. It's
right. I know, and I want to say something on that too, because I was there. I was there when she couldn't get the information from Norman that she wanted. And when he wouldn't give that to her, she said it to me. She said it on her stream, and she said it to everybody else that she was going to tell lies that were going to make it stick. And that's what she did. And these people fell for it. Is he perfect? No, none of us are. But he has good intentions. And I don't care what anybody says. I've been friends with Norman since I came to YouTube. He's not doing these things that he's been accused of. Now, I don't have control over, what videos he decides to put out, this, that, or the other. But you know what? For someone that tolerated a bunch of abuse, I'm not surprised that he didn't come out with double the amount of videos. That man has kept a lot in, including being, them showing that video of him in ICU and calling it a CPAP mask. That man was on his deathbed. It was disgusting. All of it is. All levels of it. The fact that she claims she doesn't fit in any area of YouTube. Before I was thinking she fit right into the drama community, but she doesn't. She is on her own because she is an abuse channel. That is what she is.
Yeah. Well, it's almost just like I call it throwing up on people every day, because that's kind of what it is. Just I'm pissed off and I'm going to throw up. And today it's you. You're the lucky winner that I'm going to throw up about today. I mean, that's just like, my God almighty. Like I said, it's not tough. It's a lack of self-control and it's psychotic. I'm just going to say it. You are
on Watts Island, my friend. Welcome.
Watts Island. Well, because Watts
hey,
Island,
Mama.
It really is like you.
Hello.
What's that saying? Hotel California, where you can.
The one I always joke about. Yeah, you can check in, but you can never leave.
It's so true. Like, honestly, and I mean, maybe she thought like this just get me gone, but I don't know. I refuse to let somebody bully me off of social media. YouTube's a very big place. You can, if you don't like somebody, you can go somewhere else. It's really that simple. But it's crazy, man. I don't know. I've seen some crazy things. All and I think we all came on for the right reasons. We all were just interested in the case and. At one point wanted to support something, and damn, it's been a lot when I look back, So.
Well, Voices, I wanted to say thank you for letting me come on. I know you have a whole panel of guests coming up, and so I really do appreciate, you taking the time to invite us up on panel for me, I know, and I don't want to hold you up for the rest of your chat. But you guys, thank you so much for the support. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you so much. You're welcome here anytime.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. Well, before we move on, I do want to say massive thank you to everybody that has spoken up. I know a lot of people are even scared. I've even had people say they're scared to speak up because they don't want to be her target.
Mm-hmm.
So I really, I appreciate that. People that have come on my channel that don't normally,
What have I missed?
A lot.
You watch my last video after this.
Just thank you for anybody that's not afraid to speak up and say what it was and say the truth. I, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say thank you. Every single one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody's channel is in the description to this live. Please go subscribe to Ginger Ninja and Amber Alerts. And everyone on the panel.
I just want to say nice meeting you girls. I'm sorry you have to. I'm sorry I don't know much about it, but I'm sorry you've had to deal with all this.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
really
I
no,
don't have
thank you.
I don't have to jump off right this minute. I probably will soon, but yeah.
Now we
I'm
have
gonna jump
questions for
out.
Larry.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out. It was nice to meet the rest of you, and voices. I'll be on your chat. But again, thank you for allowing me on here.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Love you, Ginger.
Love you, Amber.
Have a good night, Ginger.
Okay. Now on to Larry.
Larry. Hello.
So a lot of you guys saw the videos I posted because I thought Larry was super suspect. But
I
I
you were
didn't
right.
chat to him myself first. So I have deleted those videos, not just set them to private. And he very kindly came on here tonight and he'll address anyone. He said he's an open book. So any questions that you guys have, we're going to be kind to Larry and get to know him tonight before we make any judgments on him. I think that's fair.
Absolutely. I am wide open. And I'm human too. So I'm, I was telling, you guys have probably heard me on different things. I admit I'm pretty new to everything. So I don't know who's aligned with who. I just came in after watching, the documentary and had a little bit of information because I knew somebody that worked down there, but, and that pushed me into a side of a theory. But that was it. I mean, really. And just met some good people, but then apparently became, a subject of attack too. So,
yeah,
which is fine. I mean, I've lived a public life, so I've never hid anything. My name is my name, and people can Google it.
Look at it like this. It's almost like a fraternity. So if you've gotten attacked, that means hey, you're on Watts Island now, man.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Rite of passage,
I can't even find a lifeboat.
That's the thing. It's hard to find one of those.
Okay, so right off the bat, you were suspect to me because, well, you covered it. You watched the documentary, so you were newer. So I was like, well, hey, where did he come from? Why, And then number one flag to me was I kept hearing, so I didn't talk to you personally, that you were claiming to be rubbing elbows with Rourke. And so I was like, there's no way. Okay, so there's that. So I was like, there's no way he's talking to him and then going around YouTube and saying everything that's going to happen. Like, I just didn't understand, like, that would be hindering any investigation that's going to happen, right? Like I said in my video, because if NK is watching or whoever is watching knows, obviously they're already in hiding. They could just hide even more or whatever. To me, it was hindering something if there was really going to be another investigation, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I would never. First off, I've never even been to Colorado in my life. So, no, I don't know Rourke. I don't know. I have, and I said it, and I'm not going to throw my friend on the bus just by pure coincidence. Back in 2018, I remember, someone that I grew up with worked very close to this case, and just by happenstance. And I remember talking on the phone as we do, like friends do. We grew up, I think we met in 7th grade. 6th or 7th grade. We played baseball together, and we've been friends ever since. And he went to law school in Colorado, and he's still there to this day. But anyways, I remember him telling me he had some, that it was a wild case, a lot of corruption going on. And back in 2018, I didn't really care. I've never been a true crime person. So I just kind of was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And we moved on. And then now here we are in the middle of the pandemic. I'm working from home and bored like everybody else in America probably. And the documentary came out, so I watched it. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I go, I remember that's the case that so-and-so, my buddy, was telling me about. So when we talked, I don't know if it was the night I watched it, but it may have been the next day, we talked and I asked him. And I said, so what's going on? I started to look at some stuff online. I had no idea there was this much. I didn't know Watts Island was a thing. I didn't know there was this much interest in this case. I thought it was kind of a dead case. And so anyways, I started asking him things that I was looking at online in some of the videos. And he told me a few things and some interesting things, but nothing groundbreaking, just things that he knew. He doesn't know everything either. He was just a grunt. And but he was close enough to know some things that pointed me in the direction of the cover-up, which is what I started watching these videos, and I said, this is about the cover-up. I mean, we're never going to know what happened during those 3.5 hours or in that house or all that. I mean, we could all have theories, but let's focus on the cover-up, and then I think we'll get to the truth. I mean, what is Chris scared of? What is, what are they? There's something holding everyone back from telling the truth. And so I started digging. I started making comments and lives and on videos, never knowing how many people would pay attention. I didn't realize how many, even big shots, like they watch your guys' stuff. Because one day I was in, I think, CDT's live doing some chatting up and telling them, some of the things that I had heard and trying to get them just to focus on the cover-up. And like the next day, my buddy texts me a screenshot that someone sent him of my comments. And he goes, what the heck are you doing? I go, where the heck did you get that? And he's like, I don't think he even told me who it was, but somebody sent it to him. And they figured out it wasn't hard to do because everyone knows where I am. If you work in that office, it wasn't hard to say, well, this guy's from this city in New York, and who from our office was from the same city. And, well, there's a lot of people. It was one person. So they figured out who he was. And I feel really guilty for doing that because it's probably caused him, because he hasn't talked to me since. Other than on Christmas, he texted me to say Merry Christmas. But hasn't talked to me since. And he still practices law in the private sector in the Denver metro area. So, I mean, they can make his life heck. And I feel really bad. But now it's so far that, but again, he didn't tell me anything groundbreaking. He pointed me in the direction. I guess some of the things are groundbreaking to you guys, but, to me at the time they weren't, because I didn't know anything. I'm still learning. You guys know more than me. I don't pretend to know everything. I swear I'm learning every day from all your guys' video. You guys been doing this a lot longer. I just brought a little bit of experience because I've been in politics, and, like I always joke, I'm just a washed up politician already at 41 who happened to be bored during the pandemic and got caught on Watts Island. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not anything special. I'm just that guy, and I, just like you guys, I just got interested, and a little later, and now I've been digging in and probably spending way too much time, definitely too much money. Just got engaged on day before Christmas Eve. So, yeah, I shouldn't be spending all my money paying investigators, but I'm just stubborn now. Sorry, I was rambling.
Okay.
But anyways,
so
yeah, I'll let you guys ask questions.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
So did you say you're paying out of your pocket for investigating this further?
Yeah, I've paid out of my, but other people have too, that are working, behind the scenes off of YouTube and all that. Yeah, there's other people too. It's not just me. But yeah, I've paid out of my own pocket. I have a family attorney that I used to work for when I first came home from college, and then I got into politics and all that. But I worked at the law firm for about 4.5 years, maybe. But for years, yeah. And so, I could get free work from my uncle, who's a lawyer, but he has to pay his investigators. I can't. They're not going to work for free, so I have to pay them. But yeah, we're just trying, and nothing major. Like the investigator explained to me, this isn't your typical investigation where, you can just make phone calls, because it's a national case. They're all guarded down there, and you make phone call. You can't just pick up the phone and make phone calls and ask specific questions, because all that's going to do is tip them off. So it's going to take time. I'm not a superhero, and nor do I even know if I ever am going to be able to do anything. I'm just honestly bored, and I really want justice. I don't care who it is. Like some people have claimed, oh, you're trying to help Chris out. No, I'm not. I believe, and even when I was when I was in office and I was a legislator, I used to always say, I believe in justice. And my saying used to be, if you want true justice, you must be willing to afford it to even your worst enemy. So true justice means You can't just fight for justice when an injustice happens to you or someone you like. If injustice happens to your worst enemy and they're not getting justice, you have to be willing to stand up for them just as hard as you're standing up for yourself, or else that's not justice. That's just retribution. It's vengeance. And so if true justice and the truth means it helps Chris out or anyone else, then so be it. Everybody should have done the right thing in the first place. And they shouldn't have covered up. They shouldn't have done whatever they did. That's on them. But I don't believe we have the full truth. And I don't like to go into a lot of the theories, although I know I end up doing it because it's hard not to. Plus, people like to hear it. But, I think it's very possible Chris did not hurt at the least those girls. I think he's worried, he definitely has the price to pay. He allowed these things to happen. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know what happened.
Can I ask you another question, Larry?
Sure.
Why? Because I'm sure other people are wondering too. But why would you pay out of your own pocket on a case that you didn't really know anything about and just happened to stumble on?
It's a good question. Something that my fiance wants to know too, probably. But mostly I'm stubborn. I'm just that type of person. Also, it's my passion. I mean, if you go back, irrespective of this whole YouTube or Chris Watts case or anything, and you just do the research on me, that was my character even 10, 15 years ago when I first got involved in politics. Even before that, I was always the guy that I hate corruption. I hate injustice. I don't know. It's in my heart. It's in my blood. And I fought corruption when I was a legislator. I mean, if you look at my old videos on YouTube from 10 years ago, I was standing on the floor and fighting against, the powers that be, and always fighting against the powerful, the establishment. And, I would never take money from certain people or special interests. And, and it probably cost me my political career because they came after me pretty heavy. They spent big money to come after me. They hated me. And, so,
I'm not saying it matters, people, but I'm asking questions that I have the question other people are going to wonder. I say the questions people think but don't want to ask. It's a fair question.
I'm not seeing the chat, so I don't know.
Larry said he's an open book, so I'm going to ask him.
Yeah, no, everything. It's fine. I don't know what people are saying, but it's fine. You can ask me anything. And I get it. I'm glad you are, because other people probably, you're right, they may have it or they may not feel comfortable asking me. And, I would love to tell anything. I mean, nothing's off the table here. Ask me anything. Ask me about my dad. Go ahead. I saw someone posted a video attacking and I thought it was funny. I'm like, wow, if my dad's article upset you from across the country or across the world, imagine how it felt being his kid.
So that's the last thing, really, that was on my mind, because, your dad could be, I don't care if your dad was Charles Manson. Your dad doesn't, to me, that's not who you are. It doesn't.
No, it's not. My dad was, look, I'll tell you, I'll sum that story up. My father was elected, I think, the first time, and he was in the assembly in the 70s before I was even born. And then he was a councilman in 1981. Mind you, I was born in 79, so I was 2 years old. In 1985, he was going to run for mayor. There was newspaper articles back then. And I've done this research, by the way. He was not in our life. He was not a good father. So I've done this research because I was named Larry Jr. and I happened to be the one that got into politics also. But yeah, he was in his 20s or whatever and dating an intern at City Hall, and it was the niece of the deputy mayor, and they hooked him up. My parents were separated, but she was underage, and he ended up going to jail for statutory rape, and he actually got national attention back then because he won his election. He got reelected well in his jail cell because the people out there thought it was all a setup. They were going after my father and taking him down because he was fighting the powers that be. So, when I ran 20-something years later and I was trying to overcome his long history of controversy, I would always have to defend myself. But I found that even at the doors, there were a lot of old timers that remembered him and would say to me, you don't have to, you don't have to explain yourself. Your father was one heck of a politician, but he made some mistakes in his personal life, unfortunately. So I learned a lot, and I learned even about myself to not judge my own father enough. My biggest concerns with my father were that he wasn't a good father. I don't care what he did in his, personal or professional life. He was not around. I haven't seen his face in over 20 years. I have a wonderful mother. She's the greatest thing that's ever happened to this world, in my opinion, as I think everyone should feel about their moms. Mothers in general are just amazing. Like, I always say, if I ever made it big or won the lottery, like, I want to start a foundation to help single mothers, because I was raised by one. I knew how hard it was, and they're just amazing. So yeah, I love my mother, and she raised us great. And after college, I came home and I got into politics, and that's it. But yeah, I got involved and I spent my own money just because I'm stubborn and it's a passion of mine. And I probably would have moved on, but when people started attacking me, I'm like, you know what? I'm just doubling down. And now I'm going to go harder than ever because I know I am who I am.
Bye, Ginger. Thanks for being here tonight.
Trying to think of some of the other questions that people have raised about me. They said that I pretend to be a big shot, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I actually often talk about, I feel like I've been a big failure. I'm only 41, and I feel like I let these people take me down. And I lost my career years ago. I wasn't in office that long. I've worked on a lot of big campaigns, and I run my own business, and I do that stuff. So I've met a lot of people due to what I do, but I'm far from a big shot. I am not at all. I'm just a
have these
guy.
people said anything about you going around on YouTube and paneling up with people and discussing what you're discussing? Have they brought it up to you at all?
The only one that has was my buddy that I talked about. I don't think anyone here locally pays attention to any of this stuff. They have no idea that I'm doing it. If they did, they would have certainly said something to me. My uncle has told me I'm an idiot because, he's like, look, you might want to run for office again. You're only 41. You're going to have people looking at videos on YouTube and saying, what are you doing? Talking about, they could try to make it look like, and I get it. It's probably stupid of me to even talk on any of these lives. And especially because I do it under my real name. I don't hide. So yeah, I might run for office again, and someone might go out there. I know because I've run campaigns. We go and we look for people. It's called opposition research. And I could take any one of these videos, and I could make a 30-second TV commercial saying, Tenori went out and defended a family killer, when really I'm not. I've despised them, or anyone that's actually did these acts. But you can make it look like that. And so I get it. It's a risk. But I'm not worried about that because, again, I've never really worried. Go look at some of my speeches from 10 years ago when I was a legislator. I say it in my speeches all the time. I'm not worried about getting elected or reelected. I'm worried about the truth. And that's all I care about. I think if you fight for the truth and true justice, ultimately, you'll be okay. And just be honest.
That's a good point. So you're not planning on using this as a way to try and be reelected for anything?
No, if that was the case, I'd be running from it. This is the worst political advice. Any political advisor would be like, you're absolutely nuts to be doing this. You don't go anywhere near this case. Don't touch it. Don't go on YouTube talking. Don't do what I'm doing right now as we speak. I literally am a political consultant for a living. I mean, I have a full-time job too, but I run my own business and do consulting. I've run congressional campaigns. I've worked on Senator Chuck Schumer's campaign. So trust me, I know political consulting. If I came to myself and asked about what I'm doing right now, I would tell myself, you're an idiot. What are you doing? So no, anyone that thinks that, it would be the total opposite. I shouldn't be saying anything.
I would think this would be an awful thing to do politically.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's horrible.
I would imagine. Sorry, that made me laugh.
Hi, Mimi. Thank you. I needed a little breather. Larry is genuine. Yeah, I know. And there's some of you that are like, why am I drilling him? But I'm not. I'm just
Because you've had a lot of scammers, man. That's why.
Yeah. Okay. So in the last 2.5 years, now I've only been around for half of that time, and the shit that I've seen and the people that have, I mean, look at Josh was like the latest, right? So I'm not gonna just have this person that's new to the community and just believe everything. I'm sorry. That's not me.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
yeah.
and I didn't even realize, again, I'm new to all that, and I don't know who's who, and I do remember that Josh guy in that thing, and I felt so bad. I didn't realize, like, because I have to apologize. I kind of snapped a little bit one night in, is it Unjustified's, Kim's live, and that was when I started coming under attack, so there were certain people that, I'm not going to go into it, the details, but I was on edge and already being very defensive that night. And honestly, in my personal life, literally days before that, I had just lost a good friend of mine. He was only 34, died of cancer. So I was kind of, it was a stressful moment. And that night, I felt like I came under attack in a couple comments. So I defended myself, and that's uncharacteristic of me. I should have never brought that into her chat. And especially because I love her show, and she's such a sweetheart. So it was uncharacteristic. I shouldn't have done that. But I felt under attack, and I'm human too. I responded. It finally got to me, and I said some things I should not have. So I apologize for that.
Okay, yeah. Amber, yeah. And I'm not drilling him. I'm asking questions that I wish other people were asking him and no one has. So I'm asking him. I'm asking him questions that I think is fair because he's putting himself out here like this. So
I'm sorry, I can't read the chat, so I don't know who we're responding to or what we're talking about.
So well, I was gonna ask. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was kind of answering some messages when you first started talking, but tell me again, like, what now? Is it that you know somebody that was involved in the case, or like?
Yeah, someone I grew up with by pure coincidence just happened to went to law school, and we all went off to college together, graduated high school, went to college. I went to college in Florida. They went to college in actually here locally, but they went to law school in Colorado and ended up staying there. And yeah, they were involved in the case through an agency, I'll just say. And I mean,
interesting.
I'm trying hard not to, because I think I already have thrown them under the bus enough, and so I'm trying hard not to. I mean, it is someone that I still hope to be a friend, and I still am friends with their whole family from town. So, and I know they're not talking to me right now, but anyways, they just happened to tell me some stuff, and it made sense to me. It brought me to the theory of the cover-up.
Yeah.
And they didn't have, it wasn't Rourke, I'll tell you that. It was none of them big shots. They just happened to be in close proximity.
Hang on, hold on. Okay, so just so happened this person talks to you, tells you all this stuff, and then so what made you say, hey, I'm going to go to YouTube? Or were you watching everybody before? But if you were watching everybody before, you would know what a circus it is, right? So you would know.
No, I wasn't. And I wasn't watching everybody before. I literally talked to them right after that's why I said I don't remember if it was the night or the next day, but it was right after I watched the documentary.
Because I'm going to ask you the hard questions, right?
There's no hard question. It's all the truth.
Okay.
I mean, ask me anything you want.
Are you part of the agency? No, I'm just kidding.
Not at all.
Here's my deal. I look at everyone new like they're coming in as a distraction for either to keep this shit going for the money pit it is, right? Because it is. Let's just admit it. It is. Or it's just you're embellishing or whatever. Okay, so right now I'm on the fence and I'm just being honest with you, Larry, because everything you're saying and
That's okay. Just keep in mind, and I want to say, because I'm okay. I don't have a problem.
There's okay, well, you're a politician, so that, I mean, it might go along.
What's that got to do with it?
I'm just saying, I find a lot of what you say to be distraction, like, kind of like distracting me away from the questions even to do with the Watts case. Okay,
Let me
you're
just
rubbing
point out,
elbows.
though, and I
Hang on,
hope
you're
you don't.
rubbing elbows with this person, okay? And they're like, oh, just so
I'm
happens I
not
went
rubbing
to them.
elbows.
Hang on, just so happens they tell me this stuff, and then you're like, so like how long until you were like, I'm gonna jump on YouTube?
I started jumping on YouTube right after the documentary, and I was talking to my friend at the same time, and I would call him literally a couple times, a day, because I would watch a new thing and say, "Oh, wait, what about this? Do you know anything about this?" And a lot of it he didn't know, but
Okay,
some things he did.
Is
It
that
was
how you knew about the documentary? Or like, I know
well,
everyone knows the
documentaries on
documentary.
Netflix. Everybody watched it. I was looking for a new
I didn't
documentary.
watch it. I
Oh,
didn't watch it.
I
But
did.
okay, so you were talking to this guy before the documentary came out, and then the documentary
I've been
came out, and
talking to
then
the
you're
guy
like,
since seventh
oh,
grade.
okay. Anybody else have any questions? I'm saying politicians lie. I was being nice. Lawyers lie too. It's their job. I'm just saying politicians distract.
All I'm saying, though, is, and I get it, and I get what you're saying, but everything out there, there's nothing. It's even crossed my mind, and I say it's possible too, because as I've dove deeper into this rabbit hole, and now my buddy won't even talk to me but I did, but it's even crossed my mind, did he even possibly lie to me? Maybe he embellished things to try to seem like he was, you know, a bigger shot in the case, or knew more than he did, and kind of rambled off at the mouth. I guess that's possible. But then I come back to the fact that I do know him. Like, I've known him since seventh grade. And at the time he was telling me this, neither of us ever in a million years thought that I'd be on YouTube talking on lives about it. Like, I was just bored, and I'd get off work and come out of my office upstairs, come downstairs, watch the documentary, asked him some questions. Then I'm sitting on YouTube, and I would watch some videos, and I'm like, wow, I'm trying to catch up on who are these people. I don't know who these, and look at some of this stuff. Oh my gosh, the red car. Oh my gosh, the this. And I would call him up and say, hey, wait, what about this theory, man? Did you see this? And then there was the ping. I remember the ping. So I called him up, and for example, he told me, when I called him about the ping, he goes, oh yeah, he goes, that's crazy. He goes, that's true. He goes, that did ping there. And he goes, what's crazier is, we all knew in the office that she basically was there. When they got her dump back from her phone, they had the GPS, which was even better than now at the time. I didn't really, and I still don't, I'm not an expert on pinging, but he goes, they got the GPS, which is even better, which showed she was actually at the house that morning. He goes, but as soon as they shut this thing down, for whatever reason, nobody was able to look into it anymore. So at this point, I had never looked at the Discovery or nothing. So I go, that's got to be in the Discovery. But I found out now that the GPS is not in the Discovery. Why did they hold it back? And again, at the time, my buddy could he have been lying? Absolutely. I admit it's possible. But at the time, I don't see his motive for lying to someone he's known his whole life, that he never thought I'd be out there talking about, nor did he think I'd be dumb enough to say it. And now here I am, and I'm saying some of these things. And again, they're not groundbreaking, but it pointed me into, why are they hiding this? That was my biggest question. Why are they hiding some of the stuff they're hiding?
So would your friend be worried getting in trouble or sued? There's been people followed and harassed.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's why he's not talking to me. He ain't.
What about
he's not gonna be
you?
able to get sued.
What about
Me,
you? Are you afraid of any of that?
I don't worry about. Actually, about any of that stuff. No, I've taken on powerful people in my career.
Yeah, I suppose.
including a casino owner who spent over $200,000 to help me lose my reelection by 11 votes. I've dealt with all kinds of stuff, and I don't worry about any of that. Look, I'm a New Yorker. Come get me. I dare you. But one thing I do want, though, is I wish they would sue me. Somebody would, because we're all through this investigations. It's very hard. I mean, it is hard to get some information. I mean, I have a professional investigator that's doing stuff, and they're having a hard time getting stuff. I admit it. But if they sued me, the way the legal system works, if they sued me, it would give me the power of subpoena. So let's say NK said, I'm going to sue this guy that's saying that he thinks I was involved. Please do it. I mean, I don't have kids, so it's not like I'm taking food off their table when I spend money. Like I do okay. Me and my fiance, we both have good jobs. I also have my business, which is good. I'm okay. So please sue me, and then give me that power of subpoena. And if everyone's innocent, I'll be happy to pay the fees, and I'll even come out and say I was wrong. But I guarantee if they sue me, I'm going to have the power of subpoena, and I'm going to get those records, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to get them. So I don't fear being sued. I actually wish they would. And I could also prove to everybody that I am real and that I am who I am. And that I really do have the right intentions, which is the truth.
Yeah, well, some people are upset with how I'm questioning you, but Larry and I spoke before, and he knew I'm going to ask all of the hard questions. I'm sorry, I'm asking because they're questions I have. They're questions other people have too.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I can handle
I'm
it.
not kissing anybody's ass. I don't know him like that. I'm just asking to make my fair opinions on what he's saying. And he came on the channel knowing he came on here knowing I had 2 hate videos on him. So I'm being nice and asking him questions.
I thought it was all fair. The only people I will not even entertain being kind to or being remotely even diplomatic or whatever the word is I'm looking for to is these channels. I'm not even going to give their names up. You all know who they are. This KK or whatever it is, and Jay, and these people, and they've asked. I can show you receipts. They've asked me. They friend requested me. They've tried to get me to go on the shows. And you know what? They're utter gutter scum. And I don't care what anyone thinks if someone wants to get mad at me for saying that. I don't care what side they're on. I don't care if they agree with me. The way that they talk and operate and act about people that are victims like this, in this case, is disgusting. And they have, and my belief is, they have zero intention of helping Chris or his family. They're actually doing damage to them.
Oh yeah.
They may have the family conned into thinking they're helping them, but I also do, and people could get mad at me for this too. I'll be open. I do have a lot of empathy for Chris's family, at least, because they, people forget in a case like this, because of Chris's involvement, they forget that family did lose their grandkids, their son, their daughter-in-law. Even though there was drama in the family, they still didn't want her dead. You got to remember, they didn't kill anyone. These people are innocent, and now they're being shunned nationally because of something that their son may or may not have done, but it was likely involved in, at least. And that's very valid, and he should pay the price for it. But they shouldn't have to be attacked and suffered like that either. Same way the Ruziks, they shouldn't. From what I know of this, and I don't know of all the behind-the-scenes drama, I know that the son is very involved, and he even sent me a message, and I'm not going to go down that road of attacking them either, because I get it, man. He doesn't know. I think that this cover-up is so big that neither family knows the true depths of it. And so I think they've all been kind of confused throughout the years, and they don't really know what's going on, and it's really chaos. And I feel for them all, because none of them know anything. And the poor, Chris's family, his mother, I've watched her, and people attack her for every word she says. She's human, and she's struggling to understand, like everyone, what's going on. She lost her son and her beautiful grandkids and her daughter-in-law.
Well, I think people don't realize is there's a lot of people that don't have good relationships with their in-laws, but I think that Cindy speaks what her truth is, and she's also very old school. Like, I don't think she ever meant to put her grandkids in harm. I see pictures in some of the videos where she's around them, and she absolutely adores them. So
no doubt about it.
I think what she's what she says, everyone's like, well, she bashes Shanann. I don't think she's not trying to bash Shanann, but their relationship wasn't good. She's just speaking
Oh, it
what
wasn't. And you got to remember,
her truths are. Yeah.
psychologically for her, I think she's still living pre August 13th, 2018. Her mind has never moved on like normal people. We're not involved in this. So,
Mm-hmm.
we get to live our normal lives and then jump home later on at night after work or whatever we do and jump on YouTube, and, it's a hobby. But this is their real life. And she is trying mentally to figure this out, trying to find any excuse because no one wants to admit their son could do something or be involved. And,
Right.
maybe she's latching on to, was his first confession real? I don't believe so, of course. However, I can understand her wanting to. And I think people like KK, this lunatic girl, and whatever her name is, I forget, Luna or Lana.
She has to hold on to that hope. I think.
They're playing on Chris's family's emotions. They are 100% taking advantage of them, and they have zero. I mean, one thing I think
Bye,
I'm
Mr.
pretty good at.
Cher. He's
Bye, Mr.
leaving.
Cher.
Hey, I have to hop off too. I gotta get my daughter in bed. Speaking of, so.
Hey, nice
but
Okay,
meeting
I
you.
love you, girl.
I will hang out and chat. And I love you, and it was nice meeting you, Larry.
Yeah, you too. Glad I got
And
to meet you.
bye,
I'll check your
Kim.
channel out after I get off.
Okay,
See you
you
later,
can
girl.
check out what all we've been talking about.
I'll
Yeah.
try to keep up on it.
All right. I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see you in chat though.
All right.
Okay.
Good night. But just to finish my thought on that, I think that they are unfortunately taking advantage of whatever situation they're in, doing a lot of lying and vile comments. I mean, when I try to watch just to keep up, and that's the one places I just won't concede to ever give any leeway to. It's disgusting what they're doing. And anyone that thinks that they're fighting, even if you're on the Watt side, let me explain something. They are doing nothing. I've talked to my uncle who's a lawyer. They are doing nothing to help that 35C. They're doing everything to make sure that he never gets to trial. And if you listening closely, like being in politics, I know people don't have a good view of politicians, but one thing we do is we're very good at reading people. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we're very good at judging people, judging a room, debating, things like that. And, I consider myself a people person. I love people. I love helping people, but I'm good at judging. If you watch what she says, it's very telling. She defends NK more than she defends Chris. She has no problem entertaining people's theories that Chris did anything. She'll be like, oh, yeah, no, I get it. And yeah, I'll be the first to throw him under the bus. But you say a single word about it. No, I feel bad for her. I disagree. She won't even do. She's got one goal, and it's to protect NK. It's not to protect the Watts. It's not to protect Chris. And Chris should not be trusting her. That's the truth. He really shouldn't. I don't know how much he knows. I'm sure there's other people out there that know more. I know there's some people that say they talk to him or they don't. I don't know what's true and not. But if anyone out there does, they need to get it across to him that they are not helping him legally or morally. They're not helping him. And that poor mother and father of his, I've watched his father in a lot of things, and I think he's taken a lot of here I am. I'm talking too much because this is what I mean. People are going to say, oh, he's defending a family killer. No, I'm not. What I'm defending is a guy who I watched who really is just a salt of the earth kind of guy, his father, and who loved his son. I mean, no, they're not, the most book smart, well-spoken people. They remind me of my family, my grandfather and people like that, just hardworking blue-collar people that love their kid. And for anyone to expect them, it's like my father. Even though I haven't seen him in 20 years, and I'm upset about what he did to our family growing up and what he did to make my, adult life and my career hard because of my name, I'd be lying if I said I didn't love him. He's still my father. I don't have another one. So it's a very complicated situation. You don't have to like what someone did, but if they're your family, you still love them. And, Ronnie Watts, I saw him in those videos, and him and his son clearly had a close relationship. And I think he's hurting. And I think certain people are taking advantage of him. That's just my opinion. In my opinion, I don't know if you agree or not.
I do think that they're being taken advantage of. Hey, Jennifer, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Oh, we got another one. Hi, Jennifer.
Yep.
I don't know you,
hey.
but nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. We've actually exchanged some comments back and forth in some other lives.
Oh, okay.
Before Larry,
is your name Jennifer?
Well, it's Jen is what I go by on YouTube, but Jennifer is my government name. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Larry, really quick, people are saying, would I ask you again about what the insider, that's what they're calling your friend, that's not your friend anymore, what they told you, because there's more people that came in here, and then
yeah.
Ask him if you ever look, wait, where'd it go? Okay, yeah, so what the insider all told you and what you think is going on.
Basically, to go back, there was only a few, there's a few conversations. So, again, I'll try to go back the best I can because this has been like a roller coaster. But I remember watching the documentary pretty soon after it came out. I don't know if it was immediately. And I remember thinking, oh, man, I remember so-and-so, my buddy, was talking about this case, 2 years ago. And so I think it might have been the next day, but I started doing some light look, watched a couple of videos on YouTube. So I remember calling him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the next day now that I think about it, because I think I watched a couple of videos that night before I was going to bed. I started looking online to see what was going on with the case, if there's any updates. And anyways, I called him next day, and I'm like, dude, didn't you work on that case with that? He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, did you watch the documentary? And I said, yeah, that's why I brought it up. I go, I watched it last night. And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, that thing is crazy. I go, dude, I've been watching stuff, online. I go, there's all these theories, and, this is whether he did it or not. And, at first I talked about, did his wife do it? He goes, I don't believe so. He goes, we don't know. He goes, but there was basically some of the things that stuck out. I mean, there were long conversations of which we didn't just talk about the Watts case. I mean, we talked about how friends are doing that we grew up with, and, normal guy talk. But about some of the things that stuck out that he told me, though, was that they had the GPS, not just the ping, but they had the GPS, and it showed her at the house. He told me they had a lot more information from Chris's phone that they never released. Like, I know there's been rumors on here about whether there was, and I don't even like talking about this because I don't even know if it's relevant, and I don't want to bet, but whether there was threesomes. We've all seen those videos and all that. And he goes, yeah, no, there definitely was. I go, what do you mean? How do you know? And he goes, dude, there was pictures that they found that they took of it in his secret calculator app. He goes, we used to all sit around the office laughing about it because apparently they had like a war room set up or something in there that was dedicated to this case. And everybody was there working on it. But anyways, he was telling me that there was a lot of where they were not sharing information with the FBI, just a lot of weird things going on. 2 days after Chris confessed, so it would have been the 17th, he said that the former district attorney there was Ken Buck. He's now the congressman. He's the most powerful politician pretty much in the state of Colorado.
Hey, Uncle. Good to see you. Sorry.
That's all right. He's also the state chairman of the Republican Party there. He controls all oil money and all that stuff. So apparently there was a meeting in the office where they all watched Ken Buck, the congressman, the DA, and some big shot from Anadarko. All had a meeting for, I don't know, a couple hours in his office, private. And as soon as they all left, Rourke came out, called a few full office meeting, staff meeting, and said, everything's over. Everybody stop what you're looking at. Forget it. Don't ask any more questions. If anyone asks you anything, there is to be no leaks, no public statements, nothing unless it goes through me. And he was very stern about drop everything, share nothing. It's over. Now, this was only 2 days after the case. And he goes, everybody was so upset because at that point, He goes, the office was working on basically the theory that we knew NK was at least at the house that morning. We thought she probably at that point, he goes, from what I remember, the main theory was that she probably showed up after Chris left for work, and she was trying to get into Shanann's phone, trying to help him because she had changed the password. And then Nicole Atkinson almost caught her. But then when Nicole Atkinson left for the doctor, she ended up getting out of the house. And then Atkinson came back, and we all know the history now. The police got in, and no one was there, and they found the phone at 50%, so on and so forth. But they were working on that theory even in the office. But suddenly, something got into Rourke after that meeting where he said, no, it's over. Call it off. And then a lot of the information and the evidence that they were working on never has come out in the discovery. So my buddy was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just mind-boggling to me when all this discovery came out and the stuff that wasn't in there that we know is available. And why they won't give the Watts his phone back. If you look at their interview with him in Wisconsin, they clearly state in there that all cases are closed. There's no more investigations. There's nothing's being investigated. It's all closed. So if that's the case, give his family the phone. When I worked for my uncle, he used to have clients that were in jail, and I would run up to the jail, and I'm not even family, and I would just work for the law office, and I would say, hey, yeah, I'm here to get our client. I'm from, so-and-so law office, and here to get our client's property. And it would take them 5 minutes. They'd run back to the jail. They'd get a waiver form signed from our client who's in jail. And then they would bring me a bag with their keys and their wallet and their cell phone and all that stuff and hand it back to us. It was no big deal. Yet 2.5 years later, and they still won't give Chris's family his phone back. You got to start asking, why aren't they doing that? Why are they covering up so much information? Why did they tell the police, or why did they shut down an hour or 2 hours after Chris supposedly confessed? When, by the way, at the time, he didn't really confess to killing the kids. He implicated that Shanann killed the 2 girls. Now, I'm not saying she did. I'm just telling you, at that point, if we go back to then, that's what he told them. You would think that would have heightened the lockdown and security of that house. Because now we got to investigate, did she really do it? We got to look for everything. They shut it down and released the house. Ruined everything. They released everything. So it all adds up to, instead of looking for, did he, think, what was he doing? Who was directing Rourke to do these things? I know some people say I have these conspiracy things, but they're just really, it's blatant. It's right there. I mean, it's so obvious that someone was directing this. And you got to ask
I
why.
have a question about that, though, Larry.
Sure.
So if this is all a big cover-up, okay, from the meeting that Rourke and the congressman, is that what you said he was?
Yeah, he's still is. Yeah, but
Okay.
he was Rourke's boss. He was the DA before Rourke, and then he got elected to Congress, so Rourke got appointed to DA and took over as DA. But he was like, Ken Buck is still like, he's Rourke's like mentor. He's his political mentor.
I got you. So what my question is this: at that point, this was real early on into the investigation, as it was. How would they stop an investigation? Like, they were working toward a trial at some point. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because you know what? That's the question everyone should be asking. They should have been. You're right. They should have been working towards a trial. But now what the evidence shows, and what they've even said in their own statements in the press conferences, proves that they never intended this to go to trial at all. They had no intent. Because if this went to trial and Chris suddenly said, no, I'm not taking the plea deal, and they went to trial, they were utterly unprepared for a trial. They had nothing for a trial.
That just seems like a lot for them to bank on, though. I
Right.
mean, for them to
I agree with you.
I mean, what were they really? They didn't offer Chris really anything other than to spare him, not to charge him with the death penalty. And what would have ended up happening is it was already working its way through the courts at that point. So let's say Chris had gone to trial and it hadn't worked its way through the courts and he had been convicted and he had gotten the death penalty, all that would have happened was it would have been commuted to a life sentence and he was no worse off. So what I don't understand is how were they prepared? What could they have possibly prepared themselves for? They had no way of knowing that Chris would take that plea deal. I mean, it really wasn't in Chris's best interest to take that plea deal. It wasn't.
I agree with you. You're right. It wasn't. They knew they had it worked out. They got very lucky. However,
that's an awful.
When you have that, I don't think you people, and I don't mean that's a wrong word. You people, not you people, but general, like the general public, understands just how, number one, arrogant politicians are, and these people in these positions, and how powerful a corporation with billions of dollars and the government, when they have you in custody, and the media and everyone is given your narrative and you control them. I don't think people understand just how powerful that is and how arrogant they are. And it proves it because they got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, don't forget his first team was a public defender, right?
He had a public defender
Yeah.
who we are, and I'm being more careful how I say these things, but we are doing some research that there are some connections with other people in this case. So there's a lot that I can't say, but it will make sense, hopefully, and it's not going to be solved on YouTube, but it'll make sense, I think. And I have some lofty ambitions with this, and I don't know if it's going to work out. Maybe it'll all just go nowhere, but there's a lot that I can't say that it would make more sense if you knew the connections of who is who in all this. It was a tight group of people. There was a lot of money. You got to put yourself back to that day. You got the media to come out and call him a family annihilator the day after he didn't even say he killed his entire family. He said someone else did. You got the media to do that. You got a company that is in the middle of a $40 billion with a B billion-dollar merger deal going on. They were also in the middle of fighting a huge sexual harassment lawsuit alleging systemic sexual harassment by executives against women in the company. And they also had paid out billions in fines at that same time due to not just the Firestone explosion, but another one. And then at the same time, you got this going on where there's, again, I don't like to get into all the theories, but I think it's a very good theory that these knuckleheads had some kind of plan to do something. And I don't believe that the prosecutors, or even Anadarko for that matter, gave a crap about NK for that matter. I think it was what putting her on the stand or truly investigating this case or having a trial would have exposed. It could have cost billions of dollars on that merger. And people will do a lot for that.
I don't know about that because you're saying that there was already a lawsuit stemming.
Really quick, Meg, it says your device isn't connected. You have to connect your device, Meg. Sorry.
Yeah, you got to do all the steps through StreamYard. They're kind of jerks like that.
It's not letting me add you.
But they're already under a tremendous amount of pressure just alone. We'll go with the sexual harassment stuff, right? So what could NK possibly have said? She was boffing an executive. That's nothing compared to years, which that's what systemic sexual harassment is. It's one chick. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that it's not possible or it's not in the realm of possibilities that there was a conspiracy going on. I just can't figure out what it is that they were trying to cover up. How I can understand it better if the tanks had blown up and they'd wanted to cover it up. But and I don't mean to be cavalier when I say this, but at best, Anadarko was a dump site and that's it.
Oh.
It's an unfortunate dump site. But that's what it was.
Let me explain, though. I get what you're saying. You got to think bigger. It was a dump site that was worth $40 billion. So when you have Chevron and Occidental fighting over a company, if you could decrease the price that you're going to ultimately, in an acquisition of a company, if you could decrease that price by a mere $2 billion, like some people look at the numbers because, you know, let's face it, most of us have never, at least me, never dealt with billions of dollars. But if you could decrease a price, we look at it in the paper, we say, oh, what's the difference? 38 billion, 40 billion. If you look at $40 billion and it ends up selling for 38 billion because all of a sudden the price dips on it, because all of a sudden this national crazy case comes out and it shows that there were insiders that had knowledge of safety violations because remember that site up there, that survey, was not in compliance with a ton of the new laws that were passed after Firestone. For example, there was no cameras, there was no secure site. I mean, they had a little looked like a cattle ranch gate there. Anyone could have came and got in. So we don't know the extent of why they covered it up. There's no doubt it was covered up because otherwise a lot of this information would be out there. I've talked to not only my uncle, but many lawyers that agree with that. And I think there's others on professionals that have said that, including people like Nancy Grace. And I mean, it's quite obvious to anyone that there's a reason something's being hidden. Now, sometimes things are slippery slope. It could have went early on in the case that a phone call was made that someone said, look, can you do me a favor? I got to call in a favor here. You know, we donate tens of millions of dollars every year to Buck and the Republican Party in Colorado. You know, we own them. I got time to call in a chip. Hey, Ken, can you tell your buddy over there in Weld County, DA, to make sure that none of this stuff gets out with this girl and this craziness? And, you know, this could cost us, we're in the middle of this $1 billion thing. If that cost us $2 billion, look, get rid of it. If this girl needs to disappear, we'll give her a few million and we'll take care of everyone. We'll get the lawyers. We'll do all this stuff. That's how you can disappear. Now, again, I'm just using this as a theory. I don't know if this happened, but I'm showing you how things could spiral. So they say, yeah, I'll do that. So Buck calls Rourke, hey, you got to do me this. You know, don't worry. In a couple of years, I'm going to retire and you're going to be the next congressman and they're going to have your back. Make sure she's done. Okay. So Rourke orders a few things to not get shared with FBI. Make sure, you know, don't worry, this girl, we don't think she's involved. Well, now all of a sudden, evidence starts coming back like the phone dump, and he realizes, dang, I'm in a world here because, wait, there really is more to this story. Someone else was involved. But now if I come forward with it, it's going to prove that I covered it up in the first place, and holy cow, this is going to be a massive thing. So we got to make this go away. Get this guy to take the plea. He's crazy anyways. Throw him in jail. His lawyers are going to tell him not to talk to anybody on the outside, which we know happened. We don't know what happened to him in that jail. He's scared to death of something. And all of a sudden, he takes the plea. He says, I'm going to take all the blame for everything. And he goes off, and they do it. By the way, I beg anyone here, I'll give a challenge to everybody. Find one case that even comes close in a quadruple murder case that in America has ever come close to being a final disposition, not only a guilty plea, but sentenced as fast as this one. Because I've worked hundreds of just traffic violations in my uncle's office, and I couldn't get a speeding ticket, final disposition, and fine paid in just a couple months. Sometimes it would take 6 months to get that done because of how slow the court systems work. This case ended up with only a couple of hearings. There was nothing moving through court. It was a couple of hearings, and all of a sudden, guilty, doesn't have to tell us what happened, just guilty, sentenced, everyone go home, accept our excuses.
So why do you think, okay, saying all this, why would Chris still go and say Shanann killed the children? Because, I mean, I don't believe he killed the children, but why wouldn't he just say it's a bigger cover-up?
He took that back. He took it back in the
think
Wisconsin
she's asking
thing,
about. I think she's asking about when he entered his plea of guilty, when he took the plea deal. He pled guilty to all of it. Now, I do understand. I can't even believe these words are coming out of my mouth. I kind of understand what KK's point is with this. She has it wrong, but I get what she's trying to say. I think what she's not understanding is why Watts was never required to testify in front of the judge as to
She's right about that.
No, but that's not a requirement. It doesn't have to happen. I give you an example.
In New York State,
Gypsy.
it does, though.
Well,
you're right.
it doesn't.
In Colorado, it doesn't.
I just
no, there's other situations it hasn't happened either. When Gypsy Rose Blanchard took her plea deal, guess what? She never had to testify either.
Right.
And she's lucky that she didn't. But that's neither here nor there. But it happens. So, I mean, yeah, they expedited it extremely quickly. But okay, moving forward now, what do you see as Chris's chance at a 35C? And I don't mean immediately, because the trial judge is just going to dismiss it and it's going to have to go to appeals. I hope you're listening, Kim. This is going to be years before this happens.
You're absolutely right. And you sound like you know what you're talking about. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying. And you're right. You hit the nail on the head. I don't want to say, number one, I'm not a lawyer and I don't want to pretend to be one. But I've been a lawmaker and I've also worked in a law firm. So I have a decent understanding of things. And I do talk to people. I could tell you this much. And I don't want to say too much because people listen. And there's no way I'm going to ruin hard work that professionals are doing by saying something stupid on, public on YouTube, because I've already ruined a friendship, I think, by saying too much. So I got to be a little careful, but there has been a packet, whether he decides to respond or not. People have said to me, why didn't you reach out to KK? I despise her, and I don't think she has any intention of doing anything other than gatekeeping good, honest advice away from that family to make sure she covers for NK. That's all her theories. And to me, I looked at it, I said, wow, she's admitting NK was there. She's admitting NK did it. She's admitting Chris didn't kill the kids. Only thing she's trying to do is she's replacing NK with Shanann, and she's replacing NK being there at the house with Nicole Atkinson. I mean, that was one of the biggest, craziest theories I ever heard. But she did prove, she comes out with little tidbits of truth. She did prove that she knows somebody else was at the house. But we all know it wasn't Nicole Atkinson. So who is she covering for? She's covering for the one person she always covers for, NK. So I'm not going to go to her. So I could tell you this, a packet by a professional lawyer who's practiced civil rights for many years and is licensed in Colorado has sent a decent package in a letter and a strategy laying out things directly to Chris. Whether
how about just one thing? And I'm not asking you to spill the whole tea. Just one thing that you think. That doesn't mean it's necessarily true.
That would help him. And first off, I want to make clear to anyone that's listening that's going to try to say otherwise that I want to help Chris. I am not trying to help Chris whatsoever. What I want is truth, and no matter where that leads. And I'll tell you this. His best defense is the truth right now, because if this is as big as I believe it is, and I think we've got enough research independently to prove it is very scary situation. His best defense is to come forward and sing like a canary, because then if something happens to him, it's going to be obvious that they did it. Right now, they could do something to him behind bars, and people will say, like Jeffrey Epstein, he just offed himself. The general public would just be like, yeah, he was a family annihilator. Oh, well, and the media won't cover it, and they'll forget about him. His best defense is to come out publicly and show. So if he can show even if Shanann did it, which she didn't, but let's say she did, that people got to understand the law, what a 35C is. It's not an appeal.
No, it's not.
Even if that was true, that is not enough to grant him relief under 35C.
No,
he's got to show that he had ineffective counsel. So let's say, and again, we won't know this unless he speaks, but let's say that one of his attorneys from the public defender's office had information or had a family connection to someone else in the case or a suspect in the case, and they didn't disclose that to Chris. That is automatic relief under 35C, and he gets a trial if he can prove that.
Yeah, he'd have to prove it though.
And
new evidence has already came out. New evidence came out when whoever it was on social media found the shadows. I mean, that's evidence to a false confession. He said the kids were dead. Everybody was dead. right?
Sorry, guys, my dogs are barking.
I think
That's
though,
new evidence.
I think though under a 35C, it has to be actual new evidence, something they found after the fact. It can't be anything
Well, that
that was
would
already.
It has to be
that
unobjective.
absolutely would be
No,
because it was not found until after he had took the plea.
yeah, but the videotape was already available
See,
to the
I'm going to
defense
have to
team.
agree to disagree with you there.
No,
No,
I'm not
I-
saying
and I
it's
think
not
that's Kim speaking.
actual. No. Oh, is it? I'm sorry. I'm not saying that it's not viable or good evidence. What I'm saying is it doesn't fall under the category for a 35C of new evidence,
Right.
only because the videotape was available to his defense team
Right.
at the
And
time of the
Chris
plea
asked-
deal.
And Chris asked them in his prison interview, did y'all not see the shadows? And he admitted, no, they didn't.
Right, but that just because they didn't, they
See,
were
I agree
unable
to
to see it.
disagree.
No, I understand. And that's okay.
mean,
That's fine.
Second
Let me
off,
say this. Jen's right. It's got to be something, and I've had this discussion, very long ones, with my uncle about this because I didn't, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about the 35C process. So he tried to explain it to me, and we had this very same conversation. And it has to be something, indisputable, first off, and all that will be good evidence to come if he gets a new trial. It's going to be all good stuff. But that's not something groundbreaking. It's got to be, to put it in layman's terms, it's got to be groundbreaking, something that was hidden from him or his team, or something that his own team hid from him. His best defense right now, or chance at getting a relief under 35C, which, by the way, relief under 35C does not set him free. It's simply going to give him a chance at a trial to go back and undo his guilty plea. So it's not the same as an appeal where you win an appeal and you're out of jail. It's a whole different world. So if he gets relief under 35C, to do that, he's got to show something groundbreaking, that there was ineffective counsel, that there was a major corruption or a cover-up of some sort. If he comes out and if he knows the truth as to who did what and all that, and let's say again, and I'm giving tidbits here by what I'm offering, but I'm trying not to say anything. If his defense team knew information that would have caused him to be able to have a better defense, or not to have taken his plea deal, and they did not share it with him, and they did not share it with his family, or forget his family, him. If they didn't share it with him, or they had a relationship, let's say they had a conflict of interest, and they didn't tell him about the conflict of interest, let's say they were related to the mistress in some way, and they didn't disclose that to him, that's major. That's huge. That's automatic relief. He gets a trial, period. And we have reason to believe that some of those are very possible scenarios. And it's going to take Chris being able to, he's going to have to tell the truth to what happened. Even if that truth is ugly, it's his only shot. What
Hey, but
KK is
Larry,
talking about
Larry,
is no shot.
Larry, we already know he's not going to tell the truth.
Well,
He's
might
already
be right.
said because he's already not implicating the mistress. So already we know he's not willing to tell the truth. We already know
It's
he's
only
not
been
willing
2
to tell the
years.
truth. Hold on, Larry. You're on my channel. Hang on a second.
Sure.
We already know he's not willing to tell the truth because he's still claiming his wife killed the daughters. And we all know that's not true. No matter, even people on the other side of things that think that he didn't kill his kids, even people who think the other way or whatever, the mistress is involved, whatever. Nobody can agree that that woman choked her own children and killed them. No.
I don't know that he's even saying that. KK on YouTube is saying it. I haven't heard him say it.
Right, but you're saying that Chris Watts is actually going to want to tell the truth, even to file the
No, I didn't say he's going to
35C.
wanna.
He's not going to tell the truth because it's been 2.5 years and he's still not doing it. You
Yeah,
can't file that
be
appeal
right.
and say his wife
we're
choked
not going to
kids.
get.
Never getting anywhere.
Okay, you might
We're
be
never
right.
going to get the truth out of Chris Watts.
And
So
you all
that-
might be
Evidence,
right, but I'm telling you what's
discovery
the only
will
chance.
give us the discovery will give us the truth.
That
if it's
discovery's giving
released.
you nothing.
No, the
you're
real
not gonna get the
discovery.
real
What's
discovery.
redacted? Video evidence that hasn't been shown to the public. All of that is going to tell you the truth. It's going to give everybody the truth, in my honest opinion. You know, that video footage, Nate's cam, is they can't use doctored. They can only use raw footage. They can't go and doctor it like like old mate Armchair Detective did, to actually show the shadows. They can't actually. They can only use the raw footage that you actually get to see to actually see the shadows. So that.
Well, in the American system, they know they can use it. I mean, if you look at the OJ trial, a million trials, and people use their own theories. I mean, the OJ trial, they used a computer animated video of a recreation of what they thought the crime scene was. Yeah, no,
exactly.
They can absolutely use it.
I don't know, because this is your channel, and I don't want to be disrespectful. Do I just jump in?
Yeah, yeah, please. And hey, Dr. B.
Hi, Dr. B and Dave and Larry, and I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, hi everyone. There's a couple of people here I haven't met either.
Yeah, and I don't know who everyone is, so I'm sorry. But hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is only a theory, and it's just my theory, and it's just something that may help. I'm a normal person, just like everybody in chat. Hypothetically, let's say.
Who's speaking, by the way? I'm sorry, because
Paula, Larry.
Oh, okay.
It's Paula Walking.
Gotcha.
Let's say that no one. See, now I lost my train of thought. Just a second, because everything Larry answered like most of my like when I jumped on, I was going to jump on to say something big, but this is a cover up. This is totally 100%, 1,000% a cover up. And I wish your husband was here, Cher, because he could concur with me, because I live in Canada, and in Canada, big oil is big money.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I do agree this is a cover up. And I worked on another case where it was also a oil tycoon involved. And that is something I think we can all agree on, that in some way, shape, or form, it is a cover up, whatever it may be a cover up for.
Here in Canada, big oil contributes to politicians. They contribute to their campaign. They contribute underneath the table. They'll be having, gin and tonics and contribute, $100,000 sliding through a napkin. Like, it's a cover up. So I'm not saying Chris Watts is not exactly where he's supposed to be. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this is it's bigger than I know you guys all know, because we're all on panel, but I believe it's a cover up. I don't think Chris hurt anyone. I don't think Shanann hurt anyone. That's my own personal opinion. I think they were coerced, and I think they were chosen because they were in great financial difficulty. They were, I don't know.
No, Paula, I like where you're going on this path. Again, none of us knows the exact details. So
no,
you're right. And that's what a good conspiracy is they do keep things, very confusing, so that people kind of write it off as they get tired mentally. And I understand, I do myself. They get tired mentally and they end up writing it off, saying that conspiracy theorist, or, that doesn't make sense. This is too hard to figure out. And that's what they bank on, is people just giving up because it's all so confusing. And that's why I always try hard to not get into the theories, because that confuses everything. And people I've noticed in this community are very defensive of their theories. And I get it. They have a lot of, they've put a lot of, all of you have put a lot of your own emotions and time over a long time into this. So I don't ever want to upset anyone. My focus is the cover up, and my focus is why they covered it up, and let's get it all out there. But here's the thing. The people that we are requiring, or that we're trying to get to release the rest of this information or the discovery, they're not going to do it on their own.
No, and I disagree.
It has to be exposed first.
I can answer that, Megan. The reason why is because Anadarko was about to be sold, except we didn't know that. They didn't announce Anadarko being sold until after Chris
signed the plea deal.
Right.
It was known to people who were in like those circles.
Yeah, and
it's been in negotiations for years, from my understanding.
Because they can't do that. They can't publicly announce it, because it takes 2 years or more for that deal to actually go through, because they have to go through all of their financials, all of their personal stuff, all of their everything. So this was, let's wrap this up, let's clean this up, and let's just, let's just finish this so we can announce our bajillion-dollar deal and get on with it.
See, I think you're right. I think that there is part. Hi, this is Dr. B, by the way.
Dr. B, oh my God, I've been a fan here and I've heard so much good stuff.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
I'm very happy to meet you, Dr. B.
I
Yes,
didn't know forever what her channel was, though. I just heard Dr. B, and I'm like, "What's the channel, guys?"
I know. I'm not
I'm new to all this.
I'm not very good at this YouTube promoting stuff. So
I'm familiar
I
with
love
your
her
brand
voice.
of work.
if you
like
find
binge-watching.
Dr.
yeah,
B.
if you find your way on the channel, then that means you're there intentionally and on purpose. So that's a good thing, I think. But yes, I wanted to say that I think that, yes, there is a cover up, but I don't quite believe that it's a cover up in terms of like monetary for, I don't think it was a conspiracy to, let's just say that. Like, I don't think this is a conspiracy in that there was any sort of premeditation or that this is a plot to whatever. I don't think
I think if you go back to
I
the
think I know what you're talking about, and I think I agree.
Here's the thing that I do think is being covered up. So immediately, I mean, Shanann, like Chris didn't even get home from the murder scene, basically, or the crime scene at the house was untouched. There'd been whatever went down in there went down, and the cops were already there. This drew in national and international attention immediately. It was not going to be a big mystery whether or not this case was going to be in the media spotlight. So I think what the cover up or the rushing of it was that if this went to trial, it would have been, I believe it would have been probably bigger than O.J. Simpson's trial, because you have all the elements. You have a pregnant wife, you have a mistress who's she's not very likable. So, and she dug herself, she lied. So like her dad, in her dad's words, let's beat this down to the ground so there's nothing left of it. Because if Miss NK ever took that witness stand, they would have to carry her ass out of there because they would rip her a new one. Exactly.
But she does lie a lot, so she'd probably lie on the witness stand.
And in order for any of the evidence that was used to recover and find the bodies, so for example, the GPS data and all of that Anadarko provided voluntarily, and even somewhere in the discovery, they do talk about consulting with their legal department about how much they want to cooperate and how much they can or cannot just freely hand over to them. So there's that part. So they got a lot of their evidence. They essentially had Anadarko lead them to the bodies with their cooperation. So that means this trial, Anadarko, like Luke Apple and his co-workers, and Anadarko would basically also be on trial. And I think that's when, I think that's where the defense team comes in, because it's ultimately the defense team who would challenge the credibility of the witnesses or the company or whatever to create that reasonable doubt, right? So they would drill them, and I know that they were ready to go because the forensic experts that were at the house collecting the evidence were top-notch experts. Like the guy worked on
Dr. B. So they closed the house in Dave will tell you in less than
they actually closed the house. They closed the house down as a crime scene at midnight. Now, let's think about it. Chris was arrested at 8 p.m. when he took his shirt off and they took his pictures. At 11:02 p.m., he was booked into Weld County Jail. 58 minutes later, the house is no longer a crime scene, and we have 3 dead bodies that were murdered in the house. How the hell does that occur? Now, if this isn't a cover-up of some description, it's absolutely disgusting. I can't fathom what is going on here.
Well, I agree.
It is disgusting.
I think that Dr. V, to her point, and because I just want to get to, I'm so sorry to cut off. My phone's literally about to die. But yeah, I think you're right. It could be as innocent as that. That's why I always say I want to focus on the cover-up. There was a reason for the cover-up. And if it's as innocent as, yes, Chris killed them all, then he absolutely should be in jail then. And
Larry, have you ever heard of anything about the gunshots that morning?
Yeah, I've heard that stuff, but I haven't been able to...
Oh, that's my topic.
I haven't been able to find anything that shows what it is, but it is interesting. I think it would be interesting at a trial.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what, and that's like when I think about the case, any true crime case, like I think about it in terms of like what it looks like in court, what it looks like in trial. And I think you were earlier talking about KK and how she is the gatekeeper for any good advice for the family. And I agree with that because it appears that, you know, she's passionate about whatever she's doing. And I think, let me not get into her psychology, but the point is like, she has no clue what she's talking about to the point that it's like, it's funny. It's humorous.
Well,
to
I'll
me.
just say it. She has one motive, and the motive is to, she wants to be the only one around him and to probably be his wife.
But even beyond motive, my problem with that is that it's creating a group of people who are now taking her theories and her BS, and it's being propagated. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, you're right. And that's what their agenda is when you have a conspiracy, is to create more mass confusion. It's called the chaos theory. Now, I'm a student of the art of war. I've been studying the art of war my whole adult life. And it's textbook. What they're doing is creating a mass campaign of confusion and chaos.
Here's my challenge for you, Larry. Sorry for interrupting you. Here's my challenge for you. So I came on just to also say this too. So my challenge for Larry, it's Dr. B.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So my challenge for you is to figure out, like, reach out to me, and I will send you all of the stuff that I have from when I went to.
I was just going to ask, are you the one I think that went to Colorado?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the recording with the actual person that I published. You can hear that, and then I have the emails and the paperwork with it. I've also drafted an appeal, because I've done a lot of research on how all of that works in terms of public records. And I think in terms of like technicality, there is I think we have a good foundation or grounds, whatever it's called in legal terms, to file an appeal to the judge to say, because right now I don't know who the hell the custodian is. First it's Amanda,
nor do I.
Then it's Frederick, then it's Weld, then it's Greeley. You have 800 agencies involved.
And the FBI
they purposely do that. They mix it up.
Exactly.
But before my phone dies,
there's a legal solution, and that is to take it to the judge, and the judge then decides.
If you're willing, or if you need the help, again, I can provide legal help. Not me, but I can provide legal help.
Well, no, I don't want to have anything to do with this anymore. So I'm saying I want to hand it over. I want to hand it over to someone who would be willing to pursue this legally.
Right.
Because I think that is how you can get the rest of the discovery.
I agree. My buddy, that was one of his things that he would tell me.
Because you use their words against them. Like, she told me, yes, you can have it, and I didn't get it in the end.
That was one thing.
And I didn't get an explanation why.
He kept pressing on me was, you need to get a lawyer to sue for the rest of the discovery. You need to sue. They're not going to give it over. you have to literally fight them, and then you're going to have to appeal it because the initial judges
Right.
there locally are not going to give it up. But you need to
Right.
get someone. He kept pushing before he stopped talking to me. That was one thing he kept pushing to me. So I think you're right. But I want to touch on, before my phone dies, is something you said, which I agree with a lot of you said, and I admit wholly that it could be as innocent as that. One thing I'm convinced of is 100% a cover-up. What it was or why it was, I don't know yet. I have theories, is all I could say. But what you did say about, for example, that it could be as simple as the DA didn't want anything to do. This case, because the one part I am confident I have expertise in is politics. And this case would have been, I know how arrogant and how opportunistic that politicians are. This case would have been a dream case for a politician to raise their national spotlight, because it would have, if it's what they said, and if it's what they've released to people, and you got them on this camera, and it's such a slam dunk case, and it's this evil case, this would have been a chance for Rourke to put himself on a national display.
But he did.
He did, and he got reelected.
He got awards.
He got reelected because
Graham
he
and
got
Tammy
no
Lee
opposition.
got
And do you know how no
everybody-
opposition goes? It goes because the party's powerful people make sure that nobody runs against you.
But it's not even about him being reelected. I think at this point, to him, it doesn't even matter, because he got the case. It was a slam dunk. And if there was any sort of confusion left over after him, his confession being one thing and then his guilty plea being the other, they sent agents back to get this idiot to then draw it out for them step by step, so that he is for sure going to spend the next 5 lifetimes in prison.
No, I know. There's a lot of unanswered
that's what
questions.
I'm saying. Like, they're not stupid. They created an airtight case. And that's why I think that Chris right now is useless. You're not going to get anything from him.
No, and you might be right. And I was going to say that as my last point was, I saw Nikki in here posted. I don't know if true or not, but she apparently has, in every respect, she's been very nice, and she seems like a really nice person. She apparently talks to Chris, but she says that Chris is not going to talk ever. And that very well may be true. I mean, I do want to remind people, we are still only 2.5 years into this case. There's a case I just emailed to some people that are working on this that I was reading yesterday about a case where they thought they had a guy. It was closed, kind of a cold case of a murder. They thought they had the guy that did it. They went to this lady that they thought was their star witness, and the lady finally broke down 30 years later and told them the truth and said that she lied to them 30 years ago, and she actually knew who the real killer was, and that the real killer told them. So it took her 30 years, but she finally told the truth. So, we never know. It's not going to be a reason. All I'm saying is it's not going to be a reason to try. But you're right. I think if Chris never speaks the truth, we probably will never know the truth, and we all just need to move on at some point. But I think that
So, Larry,
for
do you
me,
feel
it's
like
it
you're
doesn't mean I
wasting
shouldn't
money
try.
at this point? Larry, do you feel like you're wasting money then at this point? Because you said
Not
you're
really,
paying out of
because-
pocket.
Right, but no, not really, because it's not like I'm paying a ton of money. I mean, it's, a family firm. All I'm paying for is the investigator and whatever filing fees. So it's not like a lot of money.
But
it's been
this
a couple
case,
$1,000s.
Yeah, but if this case really rides on Chris Watts telling the truth, and he has, let's be honest, doesn't have he's got any lawyer that has him as a client has a huge credibility issue. Chris has a horrible credibility issue. You can't believe anything that he says.
I agree, but you would have to.
Why wouldn't
he's got to come forth with something?
But
it won't be Chris Watts that cracks this case. It won't be. It just won't.
Yeah, but
what
Larry is saying is that the best hope for Chris is for Chris to tell the truth. But what I wanted to ask Larry is, if you feel this passionate about corruption and cover-ups and stuff like that, why don't you work on an actual innocence claim? Chris has no actual innocence. I know, but no, that's what I'm saying. Like, instead of throwing money at investigators, I don't care if it's $1.99 or $15,099. It's all a waste. because you're banking on a client, which is not your client, but you know what I'm saying, a defendant who has an almost, his defense at this point is almost insurmountable. I mean, it's bad. He doesn't even.
He would literally
I don't
need
disagree with
someone
that.
to come forward to
It
say.
disgusts me looking at him. But what I want to say though
The whole case will end up getting
where it hits
reopened.
me. I can only
Larry.
speak for me. I can only speak for me.
No, Dave, don't say that, Dave. Don't say this
didn't
case
even hear
is
what you
going to
said.
get reopened. Not here, please, because that's bullshit. That's
No,
me.
I'm
That's
talking about
bullshit.
for the other. I am actually talking about for the other people that are
This
involved.
case is not getting opened ever again. This is a closed case.
No, unless it's forced and there's something major. But I agree with you, Cher, that unless there's something forced or there's something major comes forward, they're never going to willfully open the case.
Chris is never going to get it. You don't understand. All his life, he was controlled. From the time he was born to the time he went to prison, he's still being controlled like a lab rat in prison, or caged rat, I mean. But all I'm saying, he's never going to tell the truth because this is the one thing he has the control over. And I've said this all along. And he loves it.
Yeah, everybody stepping and
all
fetching
attention
to
is
him.
on Chris Watts now, not Shanann. It's all on Chris now.
You know,
and
all
he
I can
loves
speak
it.
though for is my personal motivation that mixes well with this, because like I've told you, I'm not really a true crime guy, is that the element of the political cover-up, because I hate political corruption. So it's not even about Chris or about, it's about, you got two innocent babies. And I think everybody has already talked about this, that the way that they live so public in that documentary, the way that it hit, because it was all their videos. And I'm like, God, everybody's forgetting that there's, not you people, obviously, because you guys are invested, but the general public is like, God, there's these two girls and this pregnant woman.
I think
Larry's phone died. His phone said nope.
I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Chris will ever see the light of day, and it certainly won't be Christopher Watts that does anything in regard to anything.
Well, here's the thing. Chris Watts is never going to tell anyways, because he will never walk out of that prison no matter what he says. Like they said, it doesn't matter if you killed 1, 2, 3, or 4. And yes, the hell it does. But he's never going to walk out of that prison alive, because even if that was to be proved, the minute he starts talking, he is going to have an Epstein suicide happen. I mean, it's simple to see. He's never going to be allowed to say anything, which is why he's always been worried about saying anything more in his letter, saying the feds are listening to everything. Why would he care about that if what he's saying is true? Why would he be so concerned about the feds listening to phone calls and letters on what he's saying a year and a half after going to prison?
Well,
Hey,
at this point,
if we go at it at another direction, let's forget about Chris Watts, because we all know he's a liar and we all know he's right where he's supposed to be. Let's forget about Chris Watts for a minute. If we go the other route, if we go the politicians and the oil and the corruption and all that, if we go that way, what do you think there? What are your feelings on that? Let's say Chris stays in jail for the rest of his life. He did a bad thing. He's a horrible person. Yes, he's right where he's supposed to be. But let's go the other route.
I don't think it has anything to do with the oil company. I think this goes back to Shanann's past and Dirty South. And I've said it all along.
Oh, I wish your husband was here. Because he knows about Canadian oil, like it happens right here in Canada.
I mean, I could see that too. I know how, yes, I definitely could see that as well.
It happens, but knowing and proving are two very different things.
It could be NK was sent in from them, but in the end, I've always believed NK was sent in some type of hitman type of thing, whether it's from the oil company or Dirty South. I just have always had a feeling this goes back to, why did she run, get a new house, try and change her name? Why did she have credit cards in 3 different names? Like, it's weird. I just don't believe she moved to Colorado because it was better for lupus. No, no.
But you mean NK or do you mean SW?
I mean NK was probably sent in to do what she did, whether it's from an oil company or from Dirty South. I've
Oh,
always
yeah.
said she was
And
sent in a hitman.
I think Daddy had a lot to do with that too. We know a lot about his father, her father.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that NK looked at Chris for sport. Because I've always said she's a guy's girl, but it's hard being a guy's girl when the guys treat you like a guy and you actually want to date. And just from her interview alone, the way she speaks about being in the lunchroom and stuff, she was watching him. Of all the guys to pick, she picked literally the weakest link. All she had to do was be quiet and listen. That's it.
Is the doctor still here, Dr. B?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I know you can't diagnose anyone because you're on YouTube and YouTube is YouTube. But may I please ask your opinion on Nicole Ketzinger? I would like to know what you think of her interview, the one that we can visually see.
Well, I mean, it's difficult not to see the deception, but it's difficult to tell like what exactly it is that she is hiding. So again, is it like the innocent hiding of damn, like I'm a mistress, but then knowing that the entire family is dead, that would be a strong enough motivator, I would say, for like the average person to be like, oh crap, like I need to cooperate however I can. And she didn't do that. So that's a red flag for me. And that makes me think that, you know, that she's probably aware that she played a big role in this. And whether it's conscious or not, but I think she exhibits like a lot of signs of guilt. But she's also very well, like I said, this is not a diagnosis, obviously, but just from what I'm seeing, it's like it reminds me a little bit of like an kind of like a borderline unstable person who's very
personality disorder, maybe.
No, I wouldn't say narcissistic. I would say just someone who has identity issues. Basically, is not their identity is not stable. She blows with the wind. Like she's a guy's girl. She's not accepted by the girls. She's not accepted by the guys. She's viewed as an object. There's some weird not weird, I shouldn't say weird, but there are some hints from her interviews. Obviously, like she's a child of a divorced family, but that doesn't mean that that's necessarily going to pathologize her in her adulthood. But from just that tidbit, you know, it is known that for girls, divorce, like the effects of divorce, start showing up after a couple of years, which for her would have been in high school. And high school is, you know, literally what her friend Charlotte then said, that throughout high school, all she did was like go from boyfriend to boyfriend to boyfriend. So there you have that instability in relationships, which is kind of like the hallmark of borderline traits. So I don't know.
I hear you.
That would be something that I would want to know more about and explore more, because again, with a lot of the things that Chris has said as well about her, with like these, that she takes medication for bipolar. But again, Chris, I don't know how much he knows about diagnosis stuff. So at least, you know, maybe she is on some sort of medication. So we know that there's some sort of mental health concern, which would be, you know, it's not unusual. Like that's not anything. It's not to suggest that if you have a mental illness, like you're guilty of a crime or whatever. But
no, but so would it be fair to say that if Daddy said, hypothetically speaking, if Daddy said do this, or if Daddy said do that, she's gonna maybe do it?
Well, it depends. It depends because it depends on what it is, but I think that I don't know what her relationship is like with either one of her parents. I know that in her phone records, it's reflected that, she talks a lot with her dad, but she also spends a lot of time with her mom. So I don't know to what level she would just comply, if that makes sense. But I think that her immaturity and inevitably what comes with that borderline. So again, like that injury, if we're going to go with this theory that, let's say that this divorce was devastating and it was at a time when developmentally she needed her dad there or her mom there. So let's say she identified with her father and she's kind of a daddy's girl. So in that sense, yes, would she be more likely influenced by her father? Yes. But I don't know enough about their relationship, which is,
well, divorce is hard for anyone really any age, I would imagine. And I'm just saying that, like, when I watched that interview, it like, I don't know what I can say on Cher's channel, but it really upsets me because she doesn't answer the law enforcement's questions. She evades them. She does not want him to have any sort of control over the conversation at all. And she wants to be in total and complete control over what's happening in that room. And then the one with her father, which I think we only get audio on that one, it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
So,
she's definitely, well, and that's another thing. Like, I think that's another thing if we go with this theory of personality types and structures. If you come from a disorganized type of background and you can't have a stable relationship that's significant or long enough, it tells you, the world is telling her that no one wants you. You're nothing. You're nobody, So I think that the part of borderline that a lot of people don't talk about is that it's a painful existence. It's really difficult to really function with that amount of just self-loathing and self-depreciation. So any sort of criticism or negativity from the environment is, you want to avoid that. So people, they develop ways to manipulate their environment to avoid getting to that point of being shamed or humiliated or exposed. So yes, absolutely some are pathological liars. I mean, Chris, in my opinion, also has some personality disorder traits, maybe that we could argue about or for, but the same thing with him, it's that pathological lying and that manipulation. And so I think manipulation in itself does not mean necessarily that it's psychopathic or narcissistic. Manipulation is present in all of those personality types, but it's the purpose of the manipulation that determines the character, the personality type. So whether it's narcissism or whether it's to avoid real or imagined abandonment, which is the core fear of individuals with borderline personality disorders.
yes. And then, so if you're a child of divorce at that very sensitive age, you're often also asked, or you feel like you have to pick a side. Do I pick mom's side? Do I pick dad's side? Do I pick, mom's side, then dad's side? Then you learn how to become exactly what you just said. You learn how to become manipulative. You learn how to manipulate one parent over the other parent.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, so that's why I'm saying, but you also want to please both parents at the same time. You want to please the mother, you want to please the father, you don't want to, excuse me, Cher, piss off the mother or piss off the father. You want to, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not necessarily picking on NK. That's not what I'm doing. I'm more talking about the father in this instance, because he was heavily involved in Anadarko. He was heavily involved. He was an engineer for the oil company at some level. I'm not sure what level, because I'm just a layman. I'm not any professional of any kind. I'm a little sleuther. But anyways, that's what I do know. So the fact is that even though NK was only being interviewed, and I'm using air quotes because that's all she was just being interviewed. She still did seem like she had control of that entire interview.
Yeah, and okay, so that's another thing about this and this whole case, that something in retrospect, I guess now we've had 2 years to really dissect the discovery and everything in it, but at the time I think that not a lot was known. But if you listen, like for me, for example, every time I listen to the interviews the first time around, I always, obviously have my bitch fests about how much I hate NK, blah, blah, blah. But beyond that, if you listen to law enforcement, because essentially, they're trained in interviewing, which is what we have in common, psychologists and law enforcement. Like our entire jobs revolve around interviewing people. And so that means knowing body language, knowing explicit, implicit communication, in therapy, transference, countertransference, and all of those things. So there are multiple levels that are, he's not taking her words at face value. And so by his questioning and by the way that he is responding to her assertiveness, I can tell that he's, number one, first of all, very frustrated and annoyed with her. But number two, he's on to her and he's trying to play along, but at the same time, he just wants to get the information. So he's kind of just keeping the waters calm, for lack of a better expression, until they get to a point in an investigation where they can know and see where they need to go from here, in my opinion. Because
I agree with you. Yeah, like 100%. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, because Kovac
Guys,
dumped
I'm going to
her.
have to end this. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Cher, for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, you guys are awesome, but it's bedtime
Thanks, Cher.
for me.
Obviously, I've been quarantined too long because I don't know how to shut up. I don't know how to,
No, you're fine.
I don't have social graces anymore. I just came on and blah, 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 talked at you guys.
We're under martial law here, Dr. B. So
Martial law, Dr. B.
I don't know what your husband is, but we have to be in by 8. We're not allowed to go out after 8 o'clock, or we'll get up to a $2,000 fine.
Wow.
What?
Yeah. Like we can only go out for groceries and to doctor's appointments, and that's all we're allowed.
Oh my God. Wow. That's scary. I don't like that.
Yes, but thank you guys for having me, and thank you for listening. And it was a great panel. Great panel.
Yeah,
No worries,
thank you
Dr.
for
B.
joining.
Thank you very much. It was nice to meet you.
And Larry, if you're listening, thanks for coming up here and answering questions. I know I'm not, I ask the hard questions. I'm just a bitch. What can I say?
No, you're not, Cher. You are absolutely not. That was perfect. Larry had the opportunity. Larry answered the questions. I thought you did brilliant. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was amazing, and I loved every minute of it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I wanted him to, I'm glad he still wanted to come up here after my nasty video was in. And give it a shot.
I want to say congratulations to you, Cher, for coming live. It's been a brutal week. for quite a few of us, not just you, me included. You weren't the only one that had shit made up about you this week. So I want to say, yeah, well done to you for coming out here and going live again. And yeah, congratulations. It's a big effort.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. Yes, I want to add to that too. Thank you, Cher, for having me on, and thank you for being always like 100% and speaking your mind.
Yeah, your passion is infectious. I love it.
Yep, Cher, it definitely isn't backwards and coming forwards. I can assure everyone of that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna ask Kiss on my channel. I don't do that.
I found that out, so I might see you in a year back here next time, eh, Cher? What do you reckon?
Cher, you gotta come on one night, though. You gotta come on Dave's live one night. You and I can have a little chitty chat over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I would love that. Because I think you're great. You're passionate, and I love people that are genuine and that they're their true, authentic self. I love that. That's what I love. That's why I watch you, because and that's why I'm with Dave, because he's his true, authentic self. Can't fake that.
Since we're having a love fest, which I love, by the way, I also want to give a special huge hug to Jen on panel. I was like, I almost screamed when I heard her voice. So,
that's
why I had to.
Yeah, Jen, I haven't met you. Thank you for popping up here tonight.
We've met, Cher.
Have I? Is it a different name?
It's just Jennifer Lujan. It's not a. I mean, we're in Dr. B's group. You said you were gonna make a video, and I was like, "Oh, send me the link so I can see it." We've talked. I mean, nothing. It's not been deep.
I'm subbed to your channel, but I never get notifications. I don't know.
Because she never goes live. We're supposed to do some stuff, but she never does it. I've been waiting 77 years for some things.
Girl, look at her calling me out. All right, well, I've been caught up. Yes, I've been. Look, we have been, but Jen, to be fair, I didn't want to seem like I was annoying and pressuring and pushing you into doing something. So
I know how to say no.
Yeah.
I come from a place of no, generally speaking.
Point taken.
Me too.
But Jen, in addition to being brilliant and smart, she's
thank you.
Hilarious. So we have been planning to do the roast of Nicole Kessinger.
Oh, can I please join? I want in on that.
And we've been planning it since November. So
yeah,
now
it's been a long time.
I'm publicly doing this for accountability, Jen.
I want in on that conversation.
Yes.
I have some things to say about ONK.
Don't we all?
I'm gonna jump off, okay?
All right. It was nice talking to all of you guys. Thank you, Dr. B. You know I heart you the most.
Thank you.
I love you too, Dr. B. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. Love you.
Oh, thank you.
Bye, Paula,
Thank you.
Dave. Thanks to Larry, and I love you guys. Thanks to new members. I'm making a video tomorrow, and thanks for the super chats also. But I'm late calling the husband. I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Yeah. Bye. Bye. Bye.